Hello, today we have another action camera purchased from Amazon. This camera was around $90 and at the time had a 45% off coupon, so I really wanted to take the opportunity to purchase that camera while it had a very nice coupon. Obviously the coupons and the discounts, etc., the prices will fluctuate. Sometimes when I've looked at a camera's price for a long time and I see a great coupon, relatively speaking, I'll say, okay, well now might be a good time to purchase this product. So what do we have here? We have yet another action camera for my collection. This time it is the WOLFANG GA200 action camera, dual screen, 2 screens with lots of features according to the Amazon description. So let's get started. What is going to happen in this video? I'm going to just show you the accessories, the camera, the menu, the different settings on the camera, resolution, video settings, photo settings, etc. And then in the second part of this video, we're going to make some video tests and photo tests. So if you'd rather not watch the unboxing portion of this video, and you're just interested in how the camera records video, how it takes pictures, please feel free to skip towards the end, the second half of this video. Let's get started. The WOLFANG GA100, sorry, I do have that one, but this is the WOLFANG GA200, an action camera with 2 screens, which you can see right away. It's supposedly 4K resolution, supposedly 24 megapixel photos. So, some of those specifications are highlighted here, which we just discussed. What else is on the box? Not too much. Some product information. If you want to pause throughout this video, feel free to do so. So, information about support, that's quite nice. As with many, or rather most action cameras, you will need to separately purchase a micro SD memory card. Keep that in mind. Most, if not all, action cameras, especially the ones that I've used, will accept a 32 gigabyte card. This is very small, as you can see, but holding it up so you can see, a micro SD memory card can be purchased in a lot of places, including Amazon. So, obviously, you will need a micro SD memory card so that you can store videos, store photos, etc. on your camera, essentially to use the camera. Otherwise, without a memory card, and if you try to record anything, you can't because there's nowhere to store your files. Micro SD memory card, this was a separate purchase, or rather this was with another camera that I purchased, so I don't believe a memory card is included here. So you will need to buy one, or if you have one already, use that one in order to operate this camera. We will insert the memory card momentarily once we've looked at the camera. Here's the camera itself in the underwater housing. A lot of cameras, or rather all cameras actually, sorry, will either have an underwater housing included, or they will say that they're supposed to be waterproof without the underwater housing, in which case sometimes they don't include it. So here we have the camera and the underwater housing. We'll take away some of this plastic momentarily. The underwater housing will not necessarily guarantee, but it's supposed to sort of help this camera to be waterproof while it is underwater in the underwater housing. But again, I'm not going to make any promises because it usually does work very well, but you just never know. I'm not going to tell you, oh, your camera's definitely not going to leak through the underwater housing. So we have a user manual. I'm not really going to use that because I should just hopefully be able to figure out how to use the camera on my own. But this will obviously go into what the various buttons are for on the camera, the different settings, how to use the various features like time-lapse, slow motion, photos, videos, etc. And one thing that is nice, which is always nice, we have 2 batteries for the camera. So if you have both batteries charged and you have both of them with you and one battery stops working, it's out of battery, you can always use the other one. Very easy to switch out the batteries. Just kind of pull here and then it should spring open over here where you can insert the battery. So let's just do that right now. The first step, insert one of the batteries in the camera. Easy enough. Great. And then the second step, we might as well do that now. You have your micro SD memory card. And you just have to kind of hope that we're inserting it the right way. Looks good. Take a thin object, such as a pair of scissors, thin metal object, just be very careful. Now listen to the click. And it should spring down, and it should not spring back up. There's your memory card. And we'll take off some of this plastic on the front here. So this is the WOLFANG GA200. There's also the WOLFANG GA100, which is not a it's just a camera with one screen, the cheaper kind of entry level. But this was not actually that expensive with the nice coupon that we had. That's why if you're looking for an action camera, just constantly check the prices, and eventually there will be a good coupon. You can see me in the background. Here's the camera, the WOLFANG GA200. We will turn it on momentarily. Actually, there's one more piece of plastic. Okay. So, what can I say about this camera so far? Absolutely nothing, but we will test it. So if you're kind of bored with what I'm talking about, please feel free to skip to the next part of this video, where this camera is actually recording video and taking pictures. So the WOLFANG GA200. Now, of course, the part that is sometimes very, very interesting and sometimes not so interesting is the accessories. So we had a battery, obviously. We have the underwater housing, which is standard. Now, what kind of extra accessories do we have? I'm going to find that out right now. Oh, okay, so watch while I try to open this while the camera is right in front of me. This is kind of uncomfortable, but you know what, it's okay. Okay, how did we do? Not very well, but just try to get this box open. Wow, I opened this probably the least efficient way possible, but okay, that's fine. Okay, here we go. And that's it. Almost. Okay, box of accessories, most of which we're not going to use. Some mounts, little, I guess, adhesive mounts to attach the camera to various objects, like, I don't know, a helmet, a scooter, a bicycle, I don't know, a surfboard maybe, etc. So, we have, oh my gosh, very nice. So we have this, which is, I always like to see this, a docking station for charging two batteries at the same time. This is incredibly helpful for charging your batteries because it's much more efficient than charging it while they're in the camera with the USB cable. Of course, you have the USB cable here, which is here. So one end goes to the docking station, one end goes to the laptop, desktop, all-in-one computer, computer tower, etc. And you can charge these extremely efficiently, and there's lights indicating when you're done charging. So look at that. One end to your computer, and then you can charge both or one battery at the same time. Very efficient, and it's very nice that they have this because it just really speeds up your charging. So definitely use the charging docking station. Some other accessories that I'm not really that interested in, but we have a remote control, which also I'm not very interested in, but that's pretty cool to kind of take pictures and record video. I mean, start the process, stop recording video while remotely operating your camera. It's not really something that's terribly interesting to me. A lot of other cool mounts, very nice to see, but might leave those for another time. But of course, what we're most interested in is the device itself. We've inserted the memory card, which again was a separate purchase. We've inserted the battery, which came with the camera, two batteries actually, and docking station for charging two at the same time. Very, very efficient way of charging. And onto the camera itself. So let's get started. The WOLFANG GA200. What can I say about this camera? I am very excited. That's what I'm going to say. Okay, so let's hope there's battery life here. So we're going to press the on button and it should start the camera. Okay, so the first thing you'll see is let's choose the language. The date, I'm not really interested in saying the date. Okay, format the memory card. This is basically saying, oh, this is a touchscreen? Oh, it's a touchscreen. Okay, this is actually kind of cool. It's a touchscreen. So you have a zoom function here. It's probably digital zoom, which is not very helpful, but this looks like a touchscreen. So you have buttons up here. You have up, down. You have the mode button, the power button, the OK button, probably for recording. And you have a default resolution setting here, 4K. So it looks like this is a touchscreen. So let's just see. So you got settings, video resolution. Right away, we can easily get to our resolution settings, video resolution settings. And let's try scrolling up. So this is kind of interesting. This appears to be a very responsive touchscreen. You don't have to kind of figure out how to scroll. It's very responsive. That's phenomenal. So it goes all the way up to 4K, 2.7K. And let's try my personal favorite, 1080p, 60 frames per second. This touchscreen is very responsive. Image stabilization, we have that option as well. We'll try that out. Recording audio, yes. Interesting. We have a wind noise reduction feature, auto low light. Okay, so kind of cool that we have all these features. Date, time stamp. turn that off. Some default settings here, so we're just kind of looking through it. We set our resolution, 1080p, 60 frames per second. Very responsive touchscreen, very happy with that. Let's turn off the, let's turn off all the sounds here. Not really interested. Okay, great, so we've turned off the sounds. So going back, pressing the back button gets us back to our recording kind of screen. So here now it says we have 1080p 60 frames per second normal. If we have image stabilization, it's probably going to say image stabilization. So here's our camera ready to be used. But let's just go through some of the settings one more time. I think there's a screen here. If usually it's the down button, we can activate the second screen. Let's try that. And there it is, the down button. So hold down the down button. And you can kind of see me in the background. You can see the camera as well. And then holding down the down button again will get you back to the other screen, right? Correct. Okay, great. So let's look at some other settings. So also clicking here lets us change the video settings. Loop record, time lapse, slow motion, Wi-Fi. Okay, so we have some other video features here. Okay, swiping left and right gets you to the photo mode. So let's try that. So you have different photo options right here, which we got to by clicking this button. Let's try the settings. A photo resolution all the way up to 24 megapixels. Let's just leave that for now. Image quality, okay, we'll leave that. Timestamp, I'll turn that off. Okay. So other settings here, that's fine. Okay, so swiping left and right gets you to video, pictures mode and video mode. So what other settings do we have here? Angle, let's try narrow angle. I don't like the wide angle, aka like the fisheye effect. I just choose a more narrow angle so it's more representative of reality. The fisheye effect, it's like super wide angle, so you'll kind of see some distortion. I don't like that. Effect and normal, I guess. Oh, we have black and white as well. Distortion calibration. Let's correct the distortion as well. Driving mode microphone built in. Oh, option for an external microphone. That's probably upside down. Let's turn off screensaver. Let's don't have the screen turn off. Same with the auto power off. Let's not do that. And that's it. We formatted the card. Okay, system, factory reset. Okay, so I think we're kind of all set. So here's our camera. And we're ready to record some videos. That was relatively quick because I didn't really go through the accessories, but we have the underwater housing. We have... Not focusing here. Okay. 2 batteries, docking station for charging 2 batteries at the same time. That's quite useful. The camera itself with 2 screens, and I just changed some of the settings by going here. So really just the goal here is, if you've never used one of these cameras before, just try all the settings, try all the video resolution settings, and then figure out what you think looks best. It's not just, oh, 4K, it goes all the way up to 4K, we have to use 4K. That's just not true. Personally, I think 1080p 60 frames per second is very good. Typically, a lot of these cameras, the cheap action cameras, don't have real 4K. It's not like 4K means crystal clear. I mean, this was really a camera between $50 and $90. So a lot of these don't have genuine 4K. I mean, there's a few that do in general on the market. But here we're talking about this camera. I always go with 1080p 60 frames per second. Certainly feel free to use 4K or 2.7K, but unless we're shooting super professional videos that we're, I don't know, maybe selling for commercial purposes, I think 1080p 60 frames per second is very good. And it's not to say that higher resolutions are worse, it's just that over the years I've realized this is a good combination of good quality video and smooth video, and doesn't take up a whole lot of space on your hard drive. So we're going to go make some videos, show you the results. We're going to take some pictures, which you can get to picture mode by swiping that way all the way up to 24 megapixels. And that's it. We have our micro SD memory card. Don't forget, you will need to separately purchase a micro SD memory card so you can store your files. So that is the WOLFANG introduction to the WOLFANG GA200 unboxing. Video test will follow shortly. Photos will follow shortly as well. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Hello, this is a 1080p 60 frames per second video test with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. 1080p resolution, 60 frames per second with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. 1080p video test, 60 frames per second with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. Then 1080p video test, 60 frames per second with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. .1080p video test, 60 frames per second with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. .1080p video test, 60 frames per second with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. .1080p video test, 60 frames per second with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. 1080p video test, 60 frames per second. .1080p video test, 60 frames per second with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. 1080p video test, 60 frames per second. per second with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. Video test 60 frames per second with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. Hello, this is a video test with image stabilization, 1080p, 60 frames per second with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. This is a video test with image stabilization. Just going to see how well the camera will stabilize the video while we are walking. This is the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. Again, I just want to show you that we are recording with this camera recently purchased on Amazon, the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. And this is an image stabilization video test. So we're going to just walk and see how well the camera will stabilize the video. Image stabilization is an option, so you don't have to have it turned on. Here we have turned it on for the purposes of this video test. And ideally, this feature will serve to minimize shake. So very much looking forward to seeing that, hopefully with this camera, with this feature. This is an image stabilization video test with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. Normally without image stabilization, the camera will be shaking quite a bit while we're walking, so hopefully this feature will minimize the shakiness. Image stabilization video test with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera. Just going to take another lap and we should be good. So hopefully the video will be stabilized. I'm very excited to see the footage when I view it on the computer. This has been an image stabilization video test, 1080p 60 frames per second with the WOLFANG GA200 action camera recently purchased on Amazon. Video test with image stabilization, the WOLFANG GA200 action